Hey everybody, my name is Jan, also known as Sydney Plant Guy, and today I'm potting up this Monstera on a moss pole, and I thought I'll take you along. But before we get started, let's look at what materials we might need. Well, first of all, I need a moss pole. I need a pot. I'm just using a 14 centimeter pot. I usually choose my pots to be quite small because I see the moss pole in itself as an extension of the pot, so I don't need a whole lot of room inside the pot in itself. And I'll be potting up the Monstera in my homemade aeroid mix. It's just mainly made out of bark, cocoa chips, perlite, pumice, charcoal, sand, and a bit of cocoa peat. Alrighty, a little bit about the moss pole in itself. I make them myself and I just use a coated wire mesh and moss and cable ties. So pretty easy. They are 90 centimeters long and they are around 6 centimeters in diameter. I do not fill the bottom of the pole itself because I'm going to fill that with aeroid mix, as that part of the pole is going to be potted up inside the potting medium anyway. I use around about 90 grams of dried moss for a pole that thickness and that size. Ultimately, I'm trying to keep the pole filled with moss so the moss can retain moisture, but I don't want to have too much moss in it so it gets really heavy. So finding a nice balance between too much and too little will do the trick. I'm using premium quality sphagnum moss from New Zealand, and really important that it's harvested sustainably. I get all of my materials that I'm using today from Bunnings. I just buy them locally. Alright, so let's get going. Alrighty, first things first, let's have a look at the root system of this one. Beautiful. So this has some really nice roots, perfect to be potted up. I usually wait until my cuttings have at least some secondary roots, so that means that the actual roots start having roots coming off of them. So this is a perfect root system to start potting it up. Right, let me just quickly clean up. Beautiful. So I'll take my pole and alrighty, so the pot is going to go to around about here, so I want to make sure that I kind of position the plant on the pole so it works with the pot. And see these aerial roots over here? I want to make sure that they make contact with the moss so they can start growing into the moss straight away. So I'll just pop that on here, and then I just use a piece of wire that I bent in a U shape just to hold the plant in place while I'm potting it up. Beautiful. So here it is. Alright, so I turn it upside down and I fill the bottom half of the pole, not the bottom half, but the bottom bit of the pole with aeroid mix. I take my pot, make sure I get all the roots, and I just flip it upside down. Today I'll just top it up with some aeroid mix. I want to make sure that the aeroid mix is really nice and chunky, so there's lots of little air bubbles in there to make sure that any water is draining properly and that the roots have plenty of oxygen so they can survive and be happy. Beautiful. Alrighty, that's as easy as it is. It's potted up. Now, for the very first time, I actually water the medium itself. Just a bit of water, and I'm using Growth Technology Australia CCS. It's encouraging root growth. So, it just looks like this. Perfect to just encourage more root growth. So the very first time I actually water the bottom, and you can see how well draining this medium is. The water really just drains super freely out of here. Perfect. And from here on, I only ever water the pole. Now the pole is going to dry out quicker than your actual medium. So if I just continuously water the pole, I do not actually need to worry about any root rot because I kept the medium so nice and chunky that it's just going to drain out pretty quickly and I don't need to worry about it ever sitting in water. I keep it in this decorative planter, so in case any water does drain from the pole through the pot into the planter, I can just very easily drain this out. As you can see, I can actually just pick up the whole plant by the pole. And it holds together and I didn't do anything. I literally just potted up the pole. I don't cable tie it to the pot or anything like that. So now, for the next few weeks or months, my job is to make sure that I keep that moss pole moist so that these roots that I showed you earlier can find their way into the moss pole and the plant can establish a very healthy large root system within the pole itself, giving it the best opportunity to mature and grow really nice, large and lush. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe and follow me on social media. It's @SydneyPlantGuy everywhere. Right? Take care.